You know, um, when we think about the structure of our entire society, there is just this expectation of absolute stability.
Hmm.
Like you build a house, you lay down a thick concrete foundation of marriage and the nuclear family. And the architect basically points at it and says, there it is. That will hold you up forever. That is the safest place you can be.
Right, it's the bedrock. I mean,
Yeah.
we assume every other part of human interaction, so commerce, politics, culture, it ultimately rests on the stability of that single family unit.
But then you step into the world of radical sociology, and suddenly someone is standing on that concrete foundation holding a jackhammer.
Yeah, telling you it's not concrete at all.
Exactly, telling you it's quicksand.
Yeah.
And the harder you try to build on it, the faster you sink. So welcome to the deep dive, everybody. Today our mission is to explore a highly provocative philosophical essay from March of 2019.
Written by Shufeng and translated by Kinyu.
Yes. And it basically takes a sledgehammer to the very concepts of monogamy, marriage, and family. The author claims these institutions aren't just flawed, but they are fundamentally opposed to human nature.
They are, yeah.
And just to be super clear before we get into the weeds here, we are not taking sides. Our goal is just to objectively unpack this text and examine how it challenges the foundations of human societal norms without endorsing any of these viewpoints.
Right, purely analytical today.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah.
So society constantly praises lifelong loyalty to a single partner. I mean,
Right.
we make movies about it, we write songs about it.
It's the ultimate goal, supposedly.
Right. But the author of this text claims that this entire narrative is actually a massive lie, and a really damaging one at that.
What's really fascinating here is how the author frames human desire to justify that claim. I mean, the text argues that monogamy isn't a moral triumph at all. It's an unnatural cage.
A cage.
Yeah, so the core thesis revolves around this concept of amorosity, which the essay essentially defines as the desire to love many. The author believes this isn't a character flaw or, a sin. It's the true, unfiltered color of the human heart.
Interesting.
And they connect this idea of forced artificial monogamy to much broader themes, like societal control, ethics, and even the root of human suffering.
I mean, to say that loving one person for your whole life is actually the root of our anxiety is just a staggering claim.
It really is a massive inversion.
Especially since we are taught the exact opposite, right?
Yeah.
That settling down is what brings you peace. But I know the text uses a very specific philosophical term to describe this default amorous state.
Right, the Tathagata nature.
Yeah, the Tathagata nature. And I'm looking at this term, and it carries a lot of weight. Because in Buddhist philosophy, Tathagata usually refers to the ultimate unconditioned nature of reality, like the pure truth.
Exactly, and the author repurposes that spiritual light very intentionally. By calling amorosity our Tathagata nature, the text elevates this desire for multiple partners from just like a base biological urge to a divine fundamental truth.
So it's our authentic self.
Yes, our unmasked self. The text argues that humans are naturally wired for multiple infatuations because of this very nature.
Okay.
And it uses a really vivid mathematical illustration to make the point. It says, if one beautiful woman is facing 10,000 handsome men, or if one handsome man is facing 10,000 beautiful women,
Right.
the natural, unavoidable result will be 10,000 distinct infatuations blossoming.
10,000 infatuations. I mean, that implies the capacity of the human heart is virtually limitless.
That's the argument.
It's not scanning a crowd of 10,000 people to just find the one single soulmate. It's connecting with all 10,000 on a profound level.
And the author is really uncompromising on this point. From the perspective of our Tathagata nature, the text claims a woman will never inherently want to eat from only one apple tree throughout her entire life.
Not just one apple tree, right?
And conversely, a man will never naturally love only one woman throughout his life. Biological reality in this framework just doesn't support exclusivity.
So what does this all mean? Is the author basically saying society is forcing a square peg, our natural amorosity, into the round hole of monogamy?
That is exactly what they're saying.
Wow. We've built a society that actively criminalizes our biological and spiritual default setting. So we're forcing people to wear a mask of exclusivity.
And when you wear a mask all day, every day, eventually you can't breathe.
Right, right.
And the friction of maintaining that mask is exactly what causes human suffering.
Oh, I see.
According to the source, the reason the modern world is filled with worry, pain, anxiety, and sorrow is specifically because people haven't returned to this Tathagata nature.
Because we mandate the masks.
Exactly. We kidnap the true human spirit with rigid morals and ethics. We create religious doctrines specifically to restrict people from showing their true amorous colors.
Man.
We praise the mask, we reward people for keeping it on, and we threaten anyone who tries to take it off.
You know, I am reading the author's example of how conditional this mask actually is, and it feels incredibly cynical.
It's definitely a harsh take.
Yeah. The text argues that saying, "I will love only you for my entire life," is an outright scam. It calls it a lie that only exists under very specific limiting circumstances.
Right, the example of the poor man.
Exactly. The author points to a poor, helpless man who swears eternal loyalty to his partner. But the text claims that as soon as his social and economic status improves dramatically, his fox's tail gets exposed.
His true nature comes out.
Yeah. He changes. His loyalty vanishes the second he has other options.
Mhm.
But I mean, I have to push back here. Surely the author doesn't believe that focused loyalty is always just a calculation of resources. What about genuine commitment?
Well, this raises an important question about how the text views human intent versus biological imperative.
Uh,
The author concedes that the poor man telling his partner he will love them forever, he actually thinks he is telling the truth in that moment of helplessness.
So he's not just a cartoon villain.
Right, he isn't necessarily a malicious liar.
Mm.
But the underlying argument is that he is making a promise that his Tathagata nature simply cannot keep once his circumstances change and his environment expands.
Because the environment allows the mask to slip?
Yes. Because the human heart is fundamentally amorous, the essay insists that any promise of eternal exclusivity is just mathematically and biologically impossible to uphold over a lifetime.
Wow. If
Oh.
you're listening to this on your commute right now, you might be gripping the steering wheel a little tighter. It's a really harsh pill to swallow.
It challenges everything.
It really does. It basically says the promise of monogamy is a comforting illusion we cling to until we get rich enough or comfortable enough to stop pretending. But, if romantic loyalty is a biological impossibility according to the text, then the contractual obligations of a family unit must also be built on a fault line.
Oh, absolutely. The author doesn't stop at romantic partners.
Right.
They take a sledgehammer to the entire family structure, including the bond between parent and child.
Which is wild.
Yeah. The text mounts a full-scale assault on traditional family values, starting with the ancient concept of filial piety.
Meaning the reverence, obedience, and care that children owe their parents.
Exactly. Which is a massive cultural pillar in many societies, viewed as the highest moral duty.
It is the ultimate social safety net. You take care of your kids, they take care of you when you're old.
Right, but the author attempts to dismantle that safety net by pointing to grim realities. They quote a proverb: "Where there are chronic sicknesses, there are no dutiful children at bedsides."
Oh man, that is incredibly bleak.
It is.
But I guess it speaks to a specific mechanism of human exhaustion, right?
It does. And the text isn't necessarily saying children are inherently evil. It's arguing that the societal system demands a level of enduring sacrifice that goes against natural energy flows.
Like it's just asking too much of biology.
Yes. When things get tough, when the illness is chronic and resources are drained, the biological drive for self-preservation kicks in and the children disappear.
Right.
The text quotes another saying, "All men long to be immortal, yet having sons will not achieve this, although fond parents are legion who ever saw a really filial son." So society preaches absolute family loyalty, but the author observes that reality rarely reflects that ideal. Children and grandchildren are unreliable.
So if the biological imperative of self-preservation shatters the bond between parent and child, which is a literal blood tie, it's safe to assume the artificial legal contract of marriage doesn't stand a chance when things get difficult.
Not a chance. The unreliability extends directly to husbands and wives.
Okay.
The text flatly states that most wives leave before their husbands die.
Really? Yes, right. It says that.
Yes. And it goes further to claim that even if a spouse hasn't physically packed their bags, they either long for your death in their hearts to be free of the burden, or they just stick around because they still extract some material benefit from you.
That is dark. I mean, the author literally jokes that if your spouse actually stays and only leaves after you die, you must have burned some incense in your previous life.
Right.
Meaning you were just exceptionally lucky. Not that the institution of marriage is actually functional.
Exactly. It's a fluke.
But here's where it gets really interesting, I think. The author provides a framework for why the institution is so broken.
Yes.
It's not just that people are flawed. The system itself is flawed. And they use an analogy that sounds like a software developer troubleshooting a broken application.
This is a key part of the text. If we connect this to the bigger picture, the author introduces what it calls an input and feedback method to evaluate societal structures.
Okay, an input and feedback method.
Right, comparing an angelic program to a satanic program, and the author categorizes marriage and the family unit as a literal devil's program or a satanic program.
Devil's program, wow.
Yeah, a corrupted operating system that has basically kidnapped humanity for thousands of years.
Okay, let's break down that input-output logic. It's like, I'm sitting at a computer. If the software is working correctly, what the author calls an angelic program, I hit the A key on my keyboard and the letter A shows up on my screen.
Exactly.
The text says if you input melon seeds, you reap melons. If you input bean seeds, you reap beans.
The feedback matches the input. Natural law prevails. You reap what you sow.
Right.
But the text argues that marriage operates as a satanic program because the output is the exact opposite of the input.
The opposite.
Yes. In the satanic program of marriage, if you input love, the text says you will get hate.
Wow.
If you input true feelings, you will get false love. If you input hope, you will get disappointment or absolute despair. You input melon seeds and you reap beans.
When I think about this computer analogy, if the output is always corrupted, it means the compiler itself is broken.
Right.
Like I can type hello perfectly into the keyboard, but the machine scrambles it into a destructive virus that wipes the hard drive.
That's a great way to put it.
The author is essentially saying the institution of marriage is a broken compiler. But I have to ask, is the author claiming that putting love into a family always yields hate? Or are they just using an extreme worst-case scenario to invalidate the entire institution?
Well, according to the text, it's a systemic guarantee because you are putting hope into a machine designed to suppress your core identity.
So the Tathagata nature again.
Exactly. The operating system, the societal mandate of monogamy, demands the suppression of your true nature. When you force an amorous creature into a lifelong cage of exclusivity, the sheer psychological pressure corrupts everything inside the cage.
I see.
Therefore, any input of genuine affection is processed through a corrupted environment. It gets twisted by resentment, unspoken desire, and masked identities.
So what comes out on the other side is necessarily twisted into hate or falseness.
Precisely.
That is just a wild inversion of how we are taught to view the world. I mean, the whole concept of building a life together is basically framed as downloading malware into your soul.
It really is.
And because the author sees the current societal system as a satanic program where truth and falsehood are inverted, they completely redefine what makes someone a good or monstrous human being.
Yes. The text claims this inversion is a very ancient problem. Since the time of our grandparents, we have reversed the true from the false.
Generations of this.
Generations have grown up regarding the false as true and the true as false.
The essay paints this almost mythological picture, actually, saying the real truth is pressed under the five elements mountain, trapping reality.
Right, representing a heavy, immovable weight, while the fake runs rampant in all directions, causing endless hardship.
And because the foundation is upside down, the whole house is upside down, the people we think are saints are actually the problem. Right. So to explain how this inversion plays out in human behavior, the author introduces a striking analogy about a flower.
This is one of the most memorable parts of the text. The author asks us to imagine a bright, eye-catching flower.
Okay.
Now imagine this flower blooms beautifully, but only for one specific person. The text uses the placeholder named Zhang Sen.
So it blooms for Zhang San.
Right, it blooms for him alone. But the moment other people walk by, say, Li Si Wang Wu, Zhao Lu, the flower immediately wilts, closes up, and withdraws its beauty.
Now, most romantic poets would look at that flower and write a sweeping epic about true, exclusive, soulmate-level love.
Absolutely. But our author looks at that flower and asks, is that still a flower?
And the answer is no.
Exactly. The text answers, no, it is not. It is a monster spirit.
A monster spirit.
Yeah.
Because it hoards its beauty.
Yes, and the text applies this directly to humans. The author states that if people smile when they see one certain person, but immediately cross their eyebrows, like frowning or becoming cold when they see other people, they are not humans.
They're not humans.
The author calls them evildoers.
Wow.
Furthermore, if a man is indifferent to beautiful women, or a woman is unimpressed by handsome men, the author says they are not really people at all. They're just wood or stone. Sculptural robots.
Sculptural robots. Okay, let me digest this massive inversion of morality. Let's use a relatable analogy.
Sure.
If I have a favorite neighborhood coffee shop, and I go there every day, and I completely ignore all the other cafes on the street because I love the ambiance and the barista at my specific spot, Does that make me a monster spirit?
Under this framework,
Or
yes.
am I just someone with a preference? It feels like the author is taking the concept of appreciation and forcing it to be universally applied at all times.
That's a valid critique.
Like, if you love everyone and everything equally, doesn't that spread your affection so thin that it dilutes the very concept of love itself? Doesn't it become kind of meaningless?
Well, the author would counter that you are artificially restricting your capacity to appreciate. In this framework, exclusivity isn't focus, it's selfishness.
Selfishness, okay.
The text's ultimate conclusion is a complete redefinition of true love. It states that because the world is so perplexed by falsities, we don't realize that amorous hearts, the ones that appreciate beauty universally, are the truest ones.
So, to truly love one person, you are required to love the world.
Broadly, yes. The text explicitly states that anyone who truly loves you must also love the world. Anyone who does not love the world will never be capable of loving any individual because their love is conditional and restricted.
It's all connected.
It is. The author concludes that women who love many men and men who love many women are the ones actually capable of giving birth to true love because their amorous hearts are genuine.
It's mind-bending.
No.
I mean, the person who cheats on their spouse is, in this framework, the only honest person in the room honoring their Tathagata nature.
That's the logical extension, yes.
Meanwhile, the fiercely loyal husband or wife is the evildoer, crossing their eyebrows at the rest of humanity, actively participating in a satanic program.
That's exactly how the text categorizes them.
Wow. Okay, so if marriage is a satanic program and exclusive love makes you an evildoer or a monster spirit, what is the author's alternative for human existence? Because, tearing down the house of society is one thing, but you have to offer people a place to live.
Right, and the author does have a very specific blueprint for a new society. This is really the climax of the text.
Right.
Shefeng reveals that there are absolutely no marriages or families in heaven. That's the spiritual baseline.
Right.
But since we are on Earth, Shefeng claims to have found and actively opened a way to live a paradisical life right now, entirely outside of these institutions.
So what does a society without the nuclear family actually look like?
Well, it takes the form of a game designed by the author, which they announce is launching soon.
A game.
Yes. The name of this game is Being a Groom Every Day and a Bride Every Night.
Being a groom every day and a bride every night. I mean, it sounds like a chaotic, never-ending festival.
It's meant to be a radical shift. The author promises that if you participate in this game, you will definitively find that amorous hearts are the truest hearts.
Oh.
It is presented as the ultimate lived experience that will shatter the corrupted operating system of monogamy once and for all.
Replacing the anxiety of the family unit with the freedom of universal connection.
Exactly.
Well, we have covered an immense amount of philosophical ground here today, and I want to bring it directly back to you listening.
It's a lot to process.
It really is.
Yeah.
Why should you care about a 2019 essay that calls your marriage a satanic program? You might be driving to work right now, feeling your blood pressure rise, vehemently disagreeing with every single claim this text makes.
Which is a completely natural reaction.
Oh, absolutely. You might think the author's logic is entirely unhinged. But engaging with radical ideas like this acts as a vital stress test for your own worldview.
It really makes you think.
It forces you to pause and ask yourself a really difficult question. Are your views on loyalty, on marriage, and on family truly your own? Or were they programmed into you by societal expectations?
Have you examined the foundation of your own house?
Right. Do you understand why you believe what you believe? And as a reminder, we are merely your guides to this material today. We are certainly not advocating for anyone to abandon their families and sign up for the groom every day, bride every night game.
Definitely not. But engaging with this text does leave us with a fascinating and perhaps troubling thought experiment.
What's that?
Well, this raises an important question that builds entirely on the implications of what we've just unpacked.
Okay.
If a society actually adopted this proposed model, if we completely erased the nuclear family, dissolved marriage, and embraced this universal amorosity as the standard operating procedure, how would humanity redefine concepts like personal legacy?
Oh, wow.
Right. Without the structured branches of a family tree, how would we handle inheritance or even our fundamental sense of identity and belonging across generations?
It's a massive question. Because if you pull up that concrete foundation and replace it with this flowing, unrestricted river of universal love, you still have to figure out how to build a functioning society that doesn't just float away in the current.
Exactly. You still need structure.
It brings us right back to where we started. If you thought the ground beneath your feet was solid rock, maybe today is a good day to double check that it isn't quicksand. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.